Hello and welcome to the Living by Disney podcast. We have so much news to cover. Tons of news was released. We got to look at a bunch of new things. And of course, we have a full review of Tiana's Bayou adventure. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Living by Disney podcast. Your home for all things Orlando. News, reviews, and real talk. Helping make your visit to Disney World just a little more magical. Now, here's your host, Serena Lynn.
Hello and welcome. I've got all the fun people with me. So I've got Louisa.
Hi.
I've got Drew.
Hello.
And joining us is our friend Gavin from Mickey Visit.
Hello. Well, great to be back.
So glad you could join us today. We were just hanging out with Gavin in person in real life for the media event that was held here at Disney World. And he has flown back to California, but he agreed to join us today so that we could record our thoughts on a lot of the stuff that we experienced together. So it works out pretty good. Okay, so we have a lot to go over. Disney will do, of course, they do media events regularly, but I would say I don't know how it is for you in Disneyland, Gavin, but here it feels like lately there's been one big one a year, usually related to whatever big ride is sort of the key of the year. And we had Guardians 2 years ago, then we had Tron, and now we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And this was a big event. There was a lot of people involved in it. They had a lot of content creators, they had travel professionals, they had media, they had broadcast media. It was quite a crew. Did you ever hear how many people it all was?
No, I never heard the number.
It was a lot of people. And it was really cool to see them bring all of these different types of people all together for this event. Oh, they also had a lot of New Orleans people.
Yes.
Which was really cool to see. It was a pretty awesome event. So we're going to kind of go through all of the different things that they showed us and all of the new things that you guys will get to see on your next trips, because a lot of the stuff is opening now or opening very shortly, and all pretty much applies to this summer. So we'll start with Epcot. Epcot has been in a transformation since 2019. Technically, it's been in this period of transformation. Of course, we had delays, we had life and all the things, the closure and everything. A lot of plans kind of changed. We've had construction walls there for a while, but now the walls are all gone. They started us off for the event in Epcot, and they were showing us several new things that are there that are just now opening for the summer. And the first thing they started us with was headed over to the American Adventure Pavilion. And they talked about those paintings. Gavin, do you remember the details about some of those, the art that they showed us?
Yeah, so they're the paintings. It's paintings by George W. Bush, and they're all paintings of veterans that he actually knows. So his second act after the presidency has been painting, and he was always or in this case was an advocate for veterans and got to know many of them personally, both as president and then after being president. And this was a time that he chose to illustrate, I think it was almost 100 different veterans and have their portraits up. And so you could see their name and these kind of slightly abstract paintings of them throughout what is the lobby of the American Adventure Pavilion attraction. And it'll be a nice thing for people to go in and experience. It's a reason to go into that building and get into air conditioning and a nice, especially as we start into summer. And it'll be around for a year until around summer 2025, the exhibit will wrap up.
Yeah, that was really cool. They had some personal stories they shared about it, and that was kind of really nice little touch. And of course, the Voices of Liberty, which I always recommend going to see while you're at Epcot. They're so phenomenal. They're an a cappella group. They sing usually an assortment of songs, and they're usually right there in that rotunda in the American Adventure Pavilion, and it's so nice and cool in there. It's usually why you're going to want to go in there for sure. After that, first we did a quick ride on Guardians because they gave us lightning lanes, and anytime we get a chance to ride on Guardians, right, we're going to do it. Then we headed over to CommuniCore Hall. I'm going to ask you to tell us about what is CommuniCore Hall. for people?
I think we kind of got to go back to like 2019, like the start of when the whole Epcot transformation started, because that's when we got the original plans, and it was going to be like this multi-level festival structure in the heart of Epcot with views of the World Showcase Lagoon for the fireworks tonight. And that was the original plan, this gorgeous, some people called it like the egg table, which was kind of funny, but like it was this beautiful Imagineering structure. Like there was actual architecture in it, and that was going to be this multi-level structure that hosted all of the festivals. And as everyone knows, COVID hit. And in May of 2022, I think it was at the Cosmic Rewind media event, was when they revealed the updated plans. And that's where we got CommuniCore Hall and CommuniCore Plaza. So the updated plans called for CommuniCore Hall and CommuniCore Plaza. And CommuniCore Hall was going to be the Mickey and Friends meet and greet and this flex space that could basically adjust to any of the festivals. And then CommuniCore Plaza was going to be the performance area where there's actually a really nice performance stage and some beautiful nighttime lighting. So that was the updated plan. And here we are many years later, and it's here. That's all I can really say on it, though.
It is open. So we're going to be showing behind us some B-roll footage so that you guys can see what all of this is as we talk about it. So the space is pretty large. There's an outdoor area there that has grass that's kind of like Epcot's hub grass, I guess, where you can hang out outside. There's an outdoor stage, and then there's the Mickey and Friends meet and greet, which they do have like a nice new space with backdrops. There's some really pretty nice murals there that I think really are well done, and they have a lot of nods in them to sort of throwbacks of Epcot of years gone by, which I think the OG Epcot fans will really appreciate. And then there's the largest part of this building is this CommuniCore Hall. And it's considered as a flex space that will be used for festival centers and whatever. It can be used for anything that they decide. I will say that I was not impressed with this space. What did you think, Gavin?
Well, I think that the space is in kind of a difficult position, and I would just go back even to the original plans. When I heard this in my head, it was just extra Epcot space that isn't a ride and isn't an attraction, and maybe we'll have a meet and greet in there. And it just, the center of the park has always been, shifting, and it's never been that interesting or a highlight of a vacation. If you go all the way back to Interventions and so many different things that have been there, it's always been exhibits that have been swapped in and out. So I think going all the way back to these, it's always just been buildings that have been swapped in and out. So this is another building where things will be swapped in and out, and they open it up at a time when there isn't anything swapped in. And I'm sure they made that decision because it's June and it's, crazy hot in Florida, and everyone needs a place to get out of thunder and lightning storms. And so people would be equally frustrated if this were an empty space that were right there and you couldn't get in, and because they were waiting for festivals. So in some ways, I think it's good that they open it up from an operations perspective for people to be able to use and have it be a relaxing space. But no, it isn't any special feeling of upgrade or special thing. Only Disney could do this. That doesn't apply here. This is like a Terminal C at MCO level of building, and generally won't even have food the same way that those other airline terminal would. In this case, it's a space that could be defined in the future. Doesn't feel very defined right now.
Yeah. It doesn't. I don't know if it is because we are in between festivals right now. And so we are kind of seeing it at probably like its least, there's the least happening there. I do think that they could have done definitely more with it. I mean, just because we see what Disney can do. I mean, in terms of decor and theming, even just as you round the corner, the murals that they painted in the character meet and greet area were so stunning, and the lighting package in there is really pretty, and they've got all kinds of like colors, and it's just really neat. And then you kind of go next door and it's like, oh, wah, wah. But maybe they'll do more. I feel like I need to withhold complete judgment on it because of the fact that we don't know what it's going to look like when festivals are going on. And this is about the only time of year of any significant length that we don't have a festival.
For the first time in a while.
Yeah, and for the first time in a while. So yeah, maybe it'll be a little more exciting. Maybe they've got plans for it that we don't know about. Now, I will say that this Plaza Gardens area that is outside of it has a stage now that they can do shows. And they premiered a new show called Celebracion Encanto. And it is so cute. I think it is so cute. I posted some video on it on all the things, and people are loving it. I think it's very interactive. So you have basically like a Latin band is out there and they're playing this great music, and they're doing sing-along songs from the movie. And then Mirabel and Bruno come out and they actually dance. And they come out in front of the stage and bring the kids in and start doing little conga lines and little limbos and all kinds of fun things. And the kids were just eating it up. Like, they were loving it. And I just thought that was super cute. I love anything where you get kids that are able to interact with characters outside of just to like stand here and pose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And this was really very, very nice and interactive. And Mirabel and Bruno were perfection. I mean, they were just so good. So I love that that's there. So basically now when you go to Epcot for the rest of the summer until September 2nd, you'll get to see the Encanto show. They start pretty early in the morning. I think it was like 9:30 or 9:35. And they alternate shows all day long throughout the day. They stop in the afternoon. And then in the evening, they'll just go back to sort of like a Latin band in there. So I love that they're bringing a little bit of life here. I think anytime you add live entertainment, it's a win. It gives that life and that space, and it breathes into, just having that kinetic energy into the parks. So love that. Definitely check out the Encanto show. Super cute. It's right there. I'm sure we'll put up a little clip of it while we're talking about it. It's just, I really liked it. It looks like the shows actually go currently till 3:25. So make sure you make plans to see it earlier in the day.
It looks like there's 6 of them right now scheduled from morning until 3.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah, the show's fun.
Character meet and greet space is cute, as Serena was saying. That was nice.
I don't want to make this about me, but I missed this part of the media event. And what I learned is that unless I am deceased, I will never miss. It looks so cute. And also, I want to add that this will be just the thing I judge myself against on every time I am ill, because the voice of Moana was at this event, and I'll never recover from this.
Aloha mai kako, aloha. Aloha. Well done, family. I'm so excited to be here, and I think you all can guess what my favorite attraction at Epcot is. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. Yes, and I got to walk through it truly for the first time. Wasn't just for the cameras, truly first time that I got to see it, and I thought it was amazing. I am personally an advocate for clean water, and the fact that this attraction is built around that community when all of us also connect to water, I thought was really very special.
I just want you all to know, our podcast family, that I did not see any of this. I was like, it's fine. I was organizing footage. I was doing things and trying to recover for the Tiana's event, which was going to be like 18 hours. And unless my limbs are hanging from my person, I will never be stepping out again.
Really bad FOMO.
No, I mean, it was totally fine.
Yeah.
Love that for all of you. Okay, let's move on.
Noted. Mm-hmm. Noted. You will not be stepping out. Got you. Okay. Got you. All right. The next day, so we had that for that evening, and Disney had this amazing party out there. It was super cool. Food, drinks, everything. They really treat us so well. And then we got to see Luminous for a nighttime show, which for a lot of visiting people, they haven't seen it before. So that was really cool. And you'd seen that before, right, Gavin?
I enjoyed it. I liked the pyrotechnics and the lighting, as you said.
That's everything you need to know about Luminous. It's good.
It's there.
The pyrotechnics, though, are massive.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even get them in a screen with the base of it.
It has nothing on what we'll talk about the following night.
Yes. So the next day, we headed bright and early over to the Contemporary Resort to catch a bus that would take us backstage into Frontierland. And we would head into the back entrance of the Frontierland area so that we could go to Tiana's Bayou Adventure before the park opened. And this was actually really cool to me. I didn't really know what to expect from, they give us a little bit of a schedule, but we don't always know like who's going to be there or what's going to kind of be involved with things. But this was basically like the sort of dedication of the ride and the handoff from Disney Imagineering saying, we've completed it, our part of it, we're handing it over to Park Ops. And they had Tiana there, they had Louis there.
Louis was shuffling.
They had this amazing band from New Orleans that was playing there, and to be in the park before it's open and it's empty, and it was kind of a nice, beautiful sunrise, and this music is playing, and Tiana is there, and the Imagineers. It was such a cool moment.
Bruce Vaughn was there, who's head of Disney Imagineering. Jeff Volley was there, who's president of Walt Disney World. It was really cool. It was really, the Disney ambassadors were there.
Yeah.
And of course, the entire opening cast of the ride and their outfits.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Because they're so cute. They got these Tiana cookbooks that were gifted to them, and they were just so excited. They were just great energy and good vibes. It's really amazing to me. And it's something that I think a lot of people don't get to see a lot of, is how much all of these people care so much about the work that they're doing and about the quality of the work and how much camaraderie there is between everybody. I just think that that's like something that's hard to convey, but when you're there, you really feel it. Do you guys know what I mean?
Yeah. Because like this has been like, what, 4 years since it was announced? It was announced on June 25th, 2020, and it's opening on June 28th, 2024. So it's like exactly 4 years. And that was like the moment where it was kind of like, this is done. Like it's a celebration moment, so to say.
Yeah.
But that kind of comes back to the attraction as a whole, the Mardi Gras celebration. So it's like, it's kind even like the storyline of the ride kind of ties in with this whole celebration of the ride.
I never thought about that. That is pretty cool.
Are you excited?
That's awesome. I told my 6-year-old granddaughter that we were doing this, and she said, "Oh, Pops, I'm so excited. Tell them to be excited." So thank you all for not letting her down.
Gavin, have you seen other dedication ceremonies and stuff at?
I have, and if you think back, they've done similar things. They did something for Guardians, right? They did a moment, although we were melting from the heat at that moment. So same, and remember they were pumping extra fire in, and then there was a really nice, really cute moment at Disneyland for opening of Mickey's Runaway Railway out here. They like cut a film strip that was really cute. There was just a small group of us there for that. And then at Tron, they did something, I know, because they had the stars out there too. But it is always special. This was the first time in recent memory that they've had us there when they're doing this like kind of commemorative photo that they always will do, which is having the project team, cast members, resort team all there together. And so I thought it was, I know it was something that they were trying out to have us see it, and I thought it was a nice moment and cool that we got to fit it in, and cool that we got to do it in a moment when it was, cooler temperature. You can tell I'm giving away that I'm from California and that I can't hang in Florida like this. But yeah, it was a really nice thing to get to witness, I thought.
Yeah, it was really special. I felt really special being there. It was very, very cool. We headed over to Hall of Presidents where they had like a nice little presentation for us. So many cool things. So we got a couple of announcements. One is Country Bears. They announced that the Country Bear musical jamboree.
Your favorite show.
Yes.
You too, Louisa.
Maybe this is gonna turn me.
Maybe it'll win us over.
Yeah, the classic Disney songs, the goodbye to Blood on the Saddle. Sitting there with your children in that moment, I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, every time I saw it with them, they just couldn't stop talking about how much they love it.
If you are a Country Bear stan, I love that for you. Like I have my things for sure. That
No, if you're a Country Bears fan, call the Living by Disney number and tell us why.
All right, I've got my phone. Hello.
Tell us what you love.
Tell us what you love. I think we buried the lead a little bit, or that we got a kind of a look at some of the newer songs, which are going to be more classic Disney songs. And one of the artists, Emily
Ann Roberts.
So close. I automatically looked to Drew for like the facts, the details. I'm like, what is that? She sang one of the songs live, and it's the song that Shakira sings in Zootopia. Try Everything. They were going to do Bare Necessities, which, I mean, why who didn't put Bare Necessities in the first time? Like, when you hear it, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, these bears.
It wasn't written.
The Jungle Book, I feel like, is so old.
I don't know.
Because Country Bears was original.
Blood on the saddle.
It's just like one of those songs that you're just like, why?
I think that we saw it together. What was the day that we were at After Hours in Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
And Louisa was filming you. That's like one of my favorite memories we have together.
Because we were like, it's closing, so we need to document it for posterity and history. And
that's like one of the best memories.
We literally had nothing better to do. The event hadn't started yet.
I'm constantly amazed that ride lasted as long as it did. And here's the thing, for those that are upset about the changes, know that this is the best way to keep the spirit of this attraction alive. They're really investing in this attraction, and they're redoing these animatronics and updating them in these new scores. And they were showing us some B-roll of, the musicians that they're getting.
Yeah, Chris Thiele is going to do it. He's like a musical prodigy genius, MacArthur Grant. Like, he's a very good bluegrass musician. So I think it's going to be great. And maybe you'll catch me in the Country Bears.
Maybe.
It could happen.
It could win us over. And wouldn't that be something?
But like, as someone who liked the Country Bears, I liked it because it was an animatronic show. And I'd much rather have an updated animatronic show with fluent animatronics now with Disney songs rather than them just saying, okay, bye.
Yeah, it was this where they would be closed.
They're gone, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will take it. It's so different. Like, I would never think of doing country Disney songs, but like, it seems fun.
It worked. The Try Everything song worked really well. Yeah. I don't think we said the main piece of information.
We kind of backed into this.
Which was that
when it's opening.
They actually announced an opening date, which is July 17th.
Yes.
So you can come to Magic Kingdom this summer and you can see the newly reimagined Country Bear Jamboree.
I like to think that it's opening on July 17th because that's the day that Disneyland opened. And I think that, if I remember correctly, this was like one of the final things that Walt Disney laughed at before he passed away.
But that's true. We could go all the way back. It actually wasn't developed for Disneyland or Walt Disney World at that time. It was being developed for the canceled ski resort, Mineral King, which was being one of the things that worked on that didn't ever see through to completion once Walt Disney had passed away.
So the fact that it's opening on the day Disneyland opened, just maybe there was some thought there.
Yeah.
But that's just how my mind works. So.
Yeah. I wouldn't have known the date anyway, but I love that you know that. That'll be fun.
The Living by Disney sign just fell off the wall.
That's not funny. No, that sign is so pretty.
No.
The show must go on.
Yeah. Well, look at this. You see it?
Oh, yeah.
The sign fell.
Okay. Slight technical difficulties with our set.
It's fine. We'll get our, what is it called, a grip?
Ursula did it. Ursula.
Just like, no, the ghost of whoever created the Country Bears.
It's coming after
Blood on the saddle ghost.
Mark Davis is descending.
So, we have a little...
It's fine.
It's a little set trouble, but the show must go on, folks.
That's
Even
right.
though it took 10 years off my life to fall behind me. Thank goodness.
There,
Yeah, it didn't
That's
fall.
a preview of the show. Ursula throws lightning at the sun.
It could have hit us, so that's good. Okay. All right, let's continue on. We have to get to the best part, you guys, which is
Blood on the
the
sun.
longest lead up ever.
I know, which is to the Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride. So we got to, they brought out some of the Imagineers who worked on the ride. We got Charita Carter, who I love so much, you
She's an
guys.
angel.
I am like obsessed with her. She's amazing. And, they did an interview with them. They talked about some of their favorite parts of the ride and the queue and the story. Then we had PJ Morton came out and he played the piano and he accompanied Anika Rose. He accompanied Anika Noni Rose, who is the voice of Tiana. And who is Tiana?
Who is 100%?
She is the full embodiment of her, and they performed live the brand new original song that is in the ride, which is super catchy, and you guys are gonna love it. And then we headed over to the ride, and this is where we got to actually experience the ride. We got to talk to some people who worked on it. And let's kind of do a full review of the ride. So I'm going to start with you, Drew, because you have been
This has been my baby.
Yes, you've been so invested in the progress of this as it's gone along. What did you think of experiencing it in person?
Yeah, so I quite honestly love this ride. And it's like something I've been talking about is like people have been asking me, what do you think? But like I go back and forth on it because I spent 5 months of my life documenting this ride. So it's like my feelings for it are ineffable at this point, to like the point where I expected to love it. But that's also because I knew exactly what to expect, which the ride at its core is a critter-filled journey as we are collecting them to this giant Mardi Gras celebration. But I definitely think that helped me with the ride because I knew it was going to be. But I love it. It's a celebration. And that's the main reason why I loved Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway when it first opened, is because it's just happy. Like, whereas Splash, I love Splash. Like, it was my favorite ride since I was a kid. But when you look back at Splash, it didn't have this upbeat, happy celebration that everyone can enjoy. And I think just kind of what we've seen, like from kids going on it now, finally, seeing that kids are enjoying it because it's just happy. It's a musical filled critter journey. And seeing them kind of transition it from this ominous vibe of like a bear and a fox trying to kill a rabbit with vultures and escape to a celebration. That's what I love about it. It's just happy ride.
What do you think, Gavin?
Yeah, I think it's the same fun log flume ride. I mean, when the idea for Splash Mountain came together, it was we want to put it in a log flume, and then they figured out a theme around that. Kind of in the same way, they said, we have a log flume. What's a fun theme that fits this well, that's relevant and people care about? And Princess and the Frog fits that really well. I saw some great data from the New York Times in their piece on this, talking about how Princess Tiana is a favorite character among kind of key demos that Disney World wants to connect with, Black guests and Gen Z guests. And thought it was interesting that they called that out, because that definitely means that Disney called that out to the New York Times. And so I thought that was notable as like a reasoning for why. But that's going too far from the ride. Is a lot of fun. I had a great experience going on the ride. Had a great loved the new song. Thought the audio animatronics were beautiful. Still had the great same fun as Splash Mountain. The songs are in your head when you're coming off of it, and it was still a really fun experience.
Louisa, what do you think?
I think the ride is great. I think the queue is beautiful with tons of details. I'm very excited to do it again because we were so focused, like we wanted to get on the ride, and I just kind of breezed through the queue a few times. So I'm excited to look at some of those details. I think, like Gavin said, it is the same fun ride. It's very thrilling. I missed that view at the top of the biggest drop and going down, but there's several drops throughout the ride that kind of are it's entertaining. I think that the story of the ride is a little bit hard to follow, and sometimes I forget, like I read the blogs and follow the Imagineering journey of this ride. And so I knew a lot of context going in, and then talking to people that didn't have that context, I think that some of that story gets a little bit lost. It's not as clear. And I would say, just because you brought up Runaway Railway, which I think is a good comparison as far as like it's lighthearted, but there's still like a beginning, middle, of end. There's like something that happens that like you're going through the ride and Mickey and Minnie are chasing the train. And like it's a very simple story, but it's a story. And I feel like the whole, I don't want to say too much and give away what the story of the ride is. I don't know if we care about that, but the story is not as clear to me.
It might be helpful, actually.
Yeah. They revealed it, so I would say I would talk about it.
I said it might be helpful to a rider.
Yeah, so you're going through, and like like Drew said, you're collecting these critters, and at one point Mama Odie actually shrinks you down to size. And I think if I hadn't known that detail going in, I wouldn't have grasped it, even though it kind of hits you. Once you know, it kind of hits you over the head, because there is a scene where everything is huge, and you can see Tiana and Louis looking in at you, and they're big. But still I know that I would not have grasped it without that context. And I do miss there being some kind of tension of something to follow along. Like, you're kind of just taking this ride and there's animatronics, and also the pacing of the ride felt a little bit off to me, as far as there's like beautiful scenes where a lot is happening, and there are stretches where there's not. And because I was following the news, I kind of knew that, but I was expecting more like the Navi River journey, where the places where there's not necessarily animatronics or something on a screen that you're looking at, but that the fireflies and the kind of bioluminescent effect would have been a lot more intentional and pronounced. So you're kind of mystified in this journey, and you feel like you're in the bayou. And I don't feel like it was enough to say, like, to the naysayers or the people that were like, oh, it's so empty, like, I wanted to be like, no, it's not. It's like, we've seen that these kind of ambiance rides work really well, but I didn't feel like I could say that to them. I felt like really I had to be like, okay, like, I can see.
Yeah.
I can see your point.
The valid point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was, I think the story is a little harder to follow. What we learned is that there's a Tiana series that's coming out. And I think that the idea was that would maybe be a precursor to this ride, or maybe at the same time. Of course, we're here at this moment, like this ride is going to last for decades, right? By the time, in 10 years, we'll have had a full, who knows how many years of a Tiana series, where they have set up all of her life and this Tiana foods and everything that's happening in her life after the movie, that will feel very like, of course, that's the story, because it's familiar to us. So I do think that there's some backstory that is set up a little bit in the queue if you have the time to kind of read it and pay attention. It's still super fun. Like, was I that clued into the story of Splash Mountain? Like, I don't know.
No,
probably
not at all.
I know
that's my personal argument with this ride is this ride has hours worth of story that I could talk about, whereas with Splash, I feel like it was just Fox and Bear and Bunny, whereas this, it's like there's a whole thing with Tiana as a person. Yeah. And that's why we're here.
I also love the critters. Yeah. The critters to me are the key piece of this whole thing. They are what feels like this nod to the nostalgia of the Disney, Imagineering and the Disney rides that we loved from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Would you agree, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, I think you make that comment. It literally lives in Critter Country in Disneyland, so I know that there was that thought of pulling that back in. And going on what both of you had said, I mean, it is a convoluted story, and it jumps around. I think it tries to do a little too much, because it could have been, here's Tiana, she's in the bayou, this is a fun ride, or it could have been, here's Tiana, here's a story that matters and explains why you're going up a drop and all this stuff. But instead, it's like this story that's fit on top of this drop that doesn't quite align with it. So that is the negative. The positive goes back to a factor of something which I said earlier. When I was riding it solo and not sitting in a boat with the people that I was chatty with, then you could really pay attention to like, oh, this is an interesting ride, and like, let's break up the story. But then the majority of the times I was riding it with people, riding with all of you and having a good time and laughing and chatting. And I think that's how this ride is. I mean, oh, I got wet. Oh, did that one get you? Like, the whole first segment, when you're talking about, oh, it's a little empty, that whole time will be used by people talking about how wet they got on that first drop or not. And so I think the normal guest will have a different experience than I have to zone back in and pay attention to, like, if this projection mapping is working for me.
Totally valid. I think that that's very, very true. I think that we talked to someone sort of off the record that maybe there was some like audio volume issues, which I think like there's a few tweaks that they are 100% going to do in terms of like that will help the story, because there's maybe a few key pieces of dialogue that are maybe you miss, and that they can kind of make sure that that's a little more dialed in. That's very easy. I mean, it hasn't even opened yet, so it's like there's still a lot of tweaks that they can do for sure. I just think overall there's a lot of whimsy in this ride that I am 100% here for. I think that there's some people that really feel that they wish that it had been a retelling of the original movie. They wanted that Princess and the Frog sort of retelling, which if you look at like Frozen Ever After, that's what we have there. Like they just walk you through the first Frozen movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you get sort of the familiar characters, familiar songs, all good. We love that. There's sort of a cozy comfort to going back to a story that you're very familiar with. But one thing that always stuck with me is that they felt that Tiana had such a unique story. She had so much depth as a princess and so much fire in her and her entrepreneurial self and all of the dreams that she had, that they wanted to finish her story. They wanted to tell us what happened after the happily ever after, which I love. So we kind of get to see more of that, which I think was really cool. And yes, we could have had Dr. Facilier. We could have had the friends on the other side and that tension and stuff. But if you look at it from a kid perspective, sometimes it's nice to have a ride that doesn't have a scary element for children, because kids get scared on these rides.
I don't think Dr. Facilier should be in the ride, personally. Like, I am shocked every time I watch Princess and the Frog.
It's dark.
The darkness of, like, I've got friends on the other side and having to contend with that with my kids. And so I can see totally, like, adults who said that they wanted, but like I said with Runaway, like, it doesn't have to be a complex problem that's happening. Like, the train ran away. Like, there could be something that is kind of carrying you through.
It didn't need to be, we're looking for something. So the storyline now is not even just we're getting to the party. It's we're gathering a band throughout the bayou to get to the party. On the way there, we get turned small. We meet frogs that would also be good in the band. We get big again. Suddenly we're down below, and I guess all the other characters are also there because they got in our log. Like, that's the story we have now. They hopped in and came with us, which, again, I think it works if you don't think about it that hard, and I didn't think it needed to be thought about that hard, and they did. It could have been, we were on our way and we lost our way and Mama Odie had to make us small to escape a bear or something. Then we're big again. And like you're saying, it lacked any tension, but at the same time, I think it made it less scary. I saw people who were scared going on come off and loving it and enjoying it. And then the one other comparison I would make is at Disneyland, we had the Tower of Terror be turned into the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And that had been a scary ride, and then it went to be a fun ride, and the fun ride is something that people like to go on a lot more than the scary ride, and the guest satisfaction ratings went way up. The re-rideability, like, just speaking anecdotally, I really enjoy it more. So that's a nice comparison of, like, this is a ambiance fun ride as opposed to a scary storytelling ride.
Yeah, that's so valid. I also, the re-rideability that you mentioned, I think Tiana's has so much because it is a long ride and there's so many animatronics in here and so much detail that I totally want to ride multiple times just to take it all in, which is what you want.
I also want to mention about Tiana and not being in her green dress, that the end scene where she's in that dress is so beautiful. That dress in person, I mean, 10 out of 10. I'm so glad to have, like, a different outfit for Tiana, and some of the merch that features her in that dress, this art deco with, like, gold and the flapper vibes that's in the Critter co-op is
we should put some of that video up.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Like, I wanted it as an adult, but I don't want a green frilly. So, like, I don't know, it gives her a different moment, and I hope that when the Disney Plus show comes out, that it kind of ties all these things together in a way that, you know, kids will come to, like, love that dressed up Tiana as much as the green dress Tiana, and all get to know all these critters, and everything will be about going to see in person this story that they've experienced on TV, because I feel like that's what makes when you go to Disney World as a child, like you're getting to see these characters that you've come to love. And so we don't have that piece yet, but I believe it will come.
I think this ride officially Disney is saying it has 48 audio animatronics. The last time we got that many audio animatronics was Splash Mountain. So the replacement of Splash Mountain is building on its legacy that we've got 48 audio animatronics. We might never get that ever again. And just the fact that there's 19 original characters in one ride and Tiana has 2 original outfits, that's why I don't like the book report rides and I prefer the next chapter story, because it forces originality. And we've talked about this before. I've said it before on this podcast, but if you look back at Disneyland back in 1955, it was all original. So to see them balance an IP like The Princess and the Frog and then bring in 19 original characters with all the new outfits and a brand new story, that's what I love.
We got to show you too our favorite little merchandise from, can y'all see? It's a little firefly toy. How cute is that? And he sits in his little charger here, right? And then you can put him on your shoulder too, and he'll just light up.
And
Is that the most adorable thing you've ever seen? Stop.
they interact with each other. So if you're near somebody, just like real fireflies, talk to each other and flash that specific pattern. And what's more whimsical than fireflies? I mean, I think that choice, love the firefly theming in the ride, on the merch, throughout the trees.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes. They're amazing.
So I love merchandise that's both functional and looks good, which is why I'm always looking for a good hat or whatever it might be. They have little bags that it's like a phone bag and it goes on your hand. You can you snap it on after, but it goes on your hand and then you have your phone or anything else you don't want to get wet here. So it's funny because I'm sure so many, or I know for a fact because I've done it, souvenir shops near the water rides at the parks, people will go in and ask for like a plastic bag. And now it's, well, sure, we could give you a plastic bag, or you can have this themed memory to bring home with you. And it's a cute little branded thing for this. And I think the artwork's really fun on here too.
It's really fun.
I like it.
Yeah. And it's like a waterproof, like a wet bag. They did a really nice job. And when you go on the ride, make sure you go into the Critter Co-op because it's super
they had
cute.
a lot of cute stuff.
Yeah. Amazing. Overall, I think they've done a really great job on this ride. I think it's going to just complete that area of the park and open it up. And of course, next will be Disneyland's. You guys are making progress on that over there.
Be very interesting to see how it all comes together. And I mean, the ride layouts are slightly different, so we'll see how they fit it together. I'm optimistic that some of the comments on spacing and that sort of thing won't be a factor, because I think they did almost the same amount of figures for Disneyland as they did for Disney World, but it's just a smaller ride, so it should feel tighter.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. We'll have to go out there and see it. One thing that we are seeing a lot during this preview stage is that it's having some significant downtime. It happened during the media event. It's been happening in the cast previews, where it's just seems like it's going through some issues. Of course, obviously, that's what the preview period is for, is this sort of, time period that they have to do. But we definitely are observing that. And I always feel bad when people go to get a preview and they're not able to get on exactly what they want. But what are your thoughts on that, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, it's a period of test and adjust. You mentioned they're playing with audio levels. So, at night they're still playing with this thing. It's not a finished product yet even. And then throw in the weather has been intense and they can't run it. It's a water ride. You can't run the outdoor water rides with lightning potential issues. So I know that's factored into some downtime. And then also for the media day, there were these shoots happening that was causing just a huge backup. So there's been a lot of factors but all three of those should be fixed by opening. So I don't anticipate it being a huge issue post end of June.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They'll get it all that out and work all the kinks out before it opens, hopefully. All right. That's going to do it for us. I would love to know what you guys think about all this. Is there any of these new changes that you're most excited about? Leave us a comment and let us know. And we always appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you, Gavin, for coming and chatting with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to be with you here and in Florida.
Both coast to coast. I love it. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Until then, bye-bye.